In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto.
Question everything, trust nothing. Welcome back to Debate Crypto, guys. It's your boy, Blockchain Crusader, and it's the Blockchain Crusader show tonight. So we're back for another What If Wednesday, and the question is, what if we're gonna get the death penalty for Bitcoin, right? What if this Russia situation for Bitcoin, we're all thinking it's all bullish. We're all thinking Russia's going to adopt Bitcoin. But what if this is the case that is used against Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for regulations to come in heavy and to try to take out crypto, try to take out Bitcoin? And I understand, right? The argument is, but wait a minute, they can't take out Bitcoin, they can't stop Bitcoin. But what they can do is they can weaponize and they can fight against these centralized exchanges and bottleneck the situation to allow to regulate exchanges in ways that we have not foreseen and really make it a lot more difficult for people to on-ramp and off-ramp Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies. So that is the what if scenario. I got some articles pulled up that are literally showing to what's happening right now. This is a hot topic right now, guys. So first off, let's start over with a quick market overwatch, and then we're going to start diving in to what is going on out here with the whole Bitcoin Ukraine situation, and our regulations going to come and destroy Bitcoin. All right, here we are, guys. Quick market overwatch. So Bitcoin. Well, let me hit a quick refresh here just to make sure. Down 1.6% at 43,800 or so, up 17% on the week, right? It's to be expected, guys. Bitcoin's had a massive run. The RSI has been completely overbought. So, yes, it was expected. We are not going to just skyrocket up and up forever. We are just consolidating sideways at this 43, 44 range. As you've seen in the TA before, it is at a range high. By the way, shout out to CVO and Leading Crypto for the TA knowledge. So moving on, Ethereum also not really making any moves today, up 14% on the week, almost at that 3,000K level, right? Pretty much the rest of the market, just not to beat a dead horse, is really stagnant. Hasn't really been moving anywhere, 2 to 3% here and there. Top 10 coins really have not made any movements. They're all waiting on what is going to happen with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the main racehorse here, pulling the rest of the cryptos up and down with it. So, with that being said, let's start getting into some of this crazy stuff, guys. If you're just jumping in, it's What If Wednesday, and What If Wednesdays get crazy here in Debate Crypto. So, get crazy. Drop a chat. Drop a 1 in the chat, right? If you're bullish about Bitcoin, drop a 2 if you're bearish about Bitcoin, guys. Drop a 1 or a 2. I want to see what you guys are thinking about is happening with this Bitcoin run. Are we in a dead cat bounce, or are we about to just skyrocket? So let's get into the news, right? I know it's a What If Wednesday, but this What If Wednesday is powered by articles. So it's not just a complete what if out there with no real life situation going on. That being said, let me share my screen one more time. So we've got, and I'm going to go through these pretty quickly too, so don't worry about it, guys. We've got the one, the only. Ukraine government has asked Binance, Coinbase, and other major exchanges to halt support for the ruble, right? We've seen this. We saw this earlier this week where other governments and regulations were pretty much asking the crypto exchanges to stop supporting the Russian clientele, right? To cut off the Russians. Now, Ukraine government comes out themselves and are asking for the same thing. They do not want them to use the ruble to be able to buy crypto. Gladly, so far, the exchanges have not come out and fulfilled this request and have said that they are not doing it. So I'm not going to deep dive into this, right? What I am going to deep dive into is, give me a quick second here so I can share my full screen instead of well, yeah. We've also got the Fed chair, right? The Fed chair, Powell, calling for congressional action, right? Saying we want regulations. We cannot allow crypto to just get away with it. So not going to jump deep into this as well either, right? Because it's pretty straightforward. We've got Jerome Powell over here on a tweet.
Currencies are a means by which you can evade both law enforcement and national security concerns. Then that's not something we should tolerate.
Exactly. You heard it there, guys. You heard it there. With that being said, we've also got, showed it the other day, but Elizabeth Warren also coming in saying cryptocurrencies risk undermining sanctions against Russia, allowing Putin and his cronies to evade economic pain. U.S. financial regulators need to take this threat seriously and increase scrutiny of digital assets, right? We got Hillary Clinton here as well saying, hey, cryptocurrencies, no way that can they be used. They should not be allowed to be used for Russia to get away with this, right? So right here, cryptocurrency should not be a way out for Russia. She was also calling for exchanges to cut out the ruble and Russians in general. Guys, they are putting Bitcoin in their sights, making this possible, very possible, that instead of letting Russia or what's happening now with Russia be the example of why Bitcoin needs to exist and why Bitcoin should be massively adopted by not just Russia, but other nations and the people, right? When your currency devalues overnight by 30%, it shows you that fiat is only as good as long as your government is playing ball with the rest of the elites, right? And the minute they step out of line, they can crash your currency, and they're doing that through sanctions. And I understand there is benefits to that. I completely understand, but this does not just affect the Russian government. This affects the people of Russia as well, and it's hard to justify what the Russian people are going to have to go through because the Russian government decided to do this, and now all the Russians are vilified all together, and they all taking the blow. And at the end of the day, the elites are not the ones the elites can survive, right? The elites can survive even with a currency crash, even with they have assets, they have other situations going on that they can set themselves up to be able to weather the storm. The regular people do not, and they're the ones that are going to be at the food line, right? When inflation hits and their money is worth nothing, and they're at the bread lines begging for food. So with that being said, what if they're going to use this example to crush, well, crush is a strong word, but to bring very heavy, strong regulation against Bitcoin? And like I mentioned earlier, this regulation is going to come not in the form of, oh, we're banning Bitcoin. Bitcoin is banned. No, just a wide blanket ban. That's not going to happen. That's not going to work. What they're going to do is they're going to target these centralized exchanges, and they're going to force these centralized exchanges that if they want to play in our hometown, they got to bend the knee and say, well, when we ask you, when we come knocking on your door and we ask you for A, B, and C, we expect to receive A, B, and C. And if we don't receive it, you're going to be hit with heavy penalties and fees and so forth. And they're really going to bottleneck these centralized exchanges to pretty much be forced to do whatever they reckon that they want them to do. So we had the Fed chair, right, saying that it's a threat. Elizabeth Warren, it was a threat. Hillary Clinton coming out saying that it's also, can I let Russia get away with it? It's a threat. We've heard the term before thrown around. Cryptocurrencies, national security threat. I've said yes, it is, and they're bringing it to the light. So quick off, I'm gonna take a few comments here. Crypto haters now have an excuse. Yes, that is true. They do have an excuse now. Right. Another one here says, my fears will cease when we have a decentralized public internet. AWS and GWS can severely restrict crypto freedoms. Internet DAO is needed now more than ever. 100% agree. The solution is decentralization. The solution is getting away from these centralized exchanges, getting away from these centralized entities that we so much depend on to be our on ramps and off ramps, and to not pay gas fees, to be what's the word, easier to use, crypto friendly for beginners and so on. We need to evolve. We need to push ourselves to go out into the decentralization world and learn and push ourselves and force decentralized platforms to be just as friendly as decentralized platforms, to really gain adoption and really push for this, because this is the only state, this is the only salvation that we have, is decentralization. More centralization is only going to lead to these bottlenecks that I'm talking about. And these are not NFTs. These crypto exchanges might get hit very, very hard, because the entire spotlight of the world is on crypto and Russia right now, and what is happening. And the minute they get a whiff that Russia is evading sanctions, and that it's surviving due to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, they're gonna come hard, right? We haven't had regulations yet. We've barely even skimmed the top or scratched the surface of the tip of the iceberg for regulations in the United States. We've got Republicans now saying that they're pro Bitcoin, and they're trying to promise, right? There's a lot of Republicans campaigning and promising that if they get elected, they're going to try to save crypto and protect crypto and put laws in place to protect cryptocurrencies. It might not come in time. It might not come in time. And how good are those promises, right? We have a lot of politicians now running on promises of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and being a friend to the space. But we all know, when it comes to politicians, way to get their leg in the door, right? The ones they're inside, what they promise is confetti, poof, gone. See you later, never to be heard of again. Oh, it was the Democrats. They didn't let me do it, yada, yada, yada. We need to protect ourselves. We need to take power of our own coins, take our money off centralized exchanges, put them into hardware wallets. Stay away from centralized exchanges. I honestly do believe we are at a make it or break it point. This situation with Russia and Ukraine, we're seeing Ukraine being saved by cryptocurrencies on one side, right? People have donated, I think, over about $37 million worth in Bitcoin and Ethereum, I believe Polkadot, and now they're even accepting even Dogecoin. Even Dogecoin is being accepted now, I believe. And on the other side of the same coin, we're seeing Russians and Russia possibly trying to avoid these sanctions with cryptocurrencies. So both things are happening simultaneously. Now it all depends. Now it's all coming down to the point of, what is the United States regulators going to do to this? Are they going to say, hey, look, crypto saved the Ukraine and let's focus on the positive? Or are they going to look at the negative and say, well, Russia evaded sanctions and Russia was able to, continue moving on forward because of cryptocurrencies, and they need to be dealt with, just like all these headlines that I just showed have been mentioning? It could be either one, guys. We're at a 50-50 here. I understand crypto is very hard to take down, but the centralized exchanges, I will repeat it once again, the centralized exchanges are the problem. Michael, the lives, they start at 7:15 every day, Monday through Friday. 7:15 is all the lives. The only time we went live was yesterday at 9 o'clock because of the State of the Union, and we go live at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays for the debates. Every other day, Monday through Friday, is 7 p.m. Eastern time. Will says they're all slime balls. It's the people's money. Yes, it's the people's money, but they don't care. Nobody's out there advocating for the Russian people, saying, hey, the Russian people don't deserve to have their currency crashed by 30% and more and be fed to hyperinflation, right? The Russian people didn't decide to invade Ukraine. The Russian government did. And I understand that the sanctions are coming for certain banks and certain elites, right? They're also advocating, not this actually brought up a good point. They're actually advocating to trace these wallets for these whales from elites and governments in cryptocurrencies and in Bitcoin to be able to, take them off, like pretty much saying that if they're not on a white list of allowable wallets, then they're not allowed to transact, and they're trying to block these transactions. So they're trying to do everything they can to prevent and to track down these wallets in cryptocurrencies. The time is coming, guys. The time is coming. Cryptocurrencies are not going to be this freedom. It's not, the freedom is not going to be given to us, right? Cryptocurrencies are not going to just give us freedom and we're just going to sit here and say, yes, thank you for all the freedom you provided. We're going to have to fight for it. We're going to have to push for it, because the United States and the rest of the world and the global elite situation is not going and does not want to allow this freedom to come. They do not want CBDCs and they do not want fiat currencies to lose the power that they hold. They do not want the Federal Reserve to lose the power that it holds. They own the world with this power, and they have weaponized the money to now be able to target and destroy other nations' countries through the currency by destroying their stock market, destroying their trade, destroying everything. They will not go down without a fight, and decentralization and freedom will not come without a fight. So people need to decide what they want to do. People need to learn how to get on these decentralized exchanges, learn about privacy, learn that being on Bitcoin is not fully anonymous. It is only pseudo anonymous. So it's up to you to protect how anonymous your wallet addresses are and what your transactions are doing and where they're going and where they're coming from, right? I'm not advocating for any illicit activity at all. I'm not for illicit activity. I am for freedom and privacy of the individual. For this, people need to learn. People need to educate themselves. Bitcoin and Bong Rip says, mega pump incoming, money printers going nuts. Very possible. Very possible from the speech yesterday. The Federal Reserve might still increase interest rates, but it's going to be I believe personally, it's going to be a very insignificant number at all that's going to be raised. We also had Biden say that he was releasing, they were going to release worldwide 60 million barrels of oil or whatever it was. That's not going to last very long. That's not going to last very long at all. Cutting Russia off from trade has and will affect global supply chains. They supply about 7% of the oil, I believe, that the United States purchases. That is a lot. This number doesn't sound large. 7% doesn't sound large, but that is a percentage. The actual number is very, very large. They do a lot of commerce with the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. Supply chains will not be the same until this issue is resolved. We've already been having supply chain problems. So with that being said, supply chain problems lead to inflation problems more than what they have already been, plus on top of all the money printing that's already been happening. Promised yesterday that they were going to give $1 billion or something like that to Ukraine. That is coming from the money printer, guys. That is coming from the money printer. That is not coming from the the bank that they just have sitting there or whatever. They're not going over there pulling out some gold, selling it, and donating. No, they're not. They're just printing it. They're just printing it. Printing is just an invisible tax on your currency. So Bitcoin is, and I want to repeat, is in danger. We are at a 50-50 here. It can go either way. Bitcoin could be adopted by Russia and prove that it is what it was meant to be, a hedge against inflation, a hedge against fiat currency and control, right? Freedom, decentralization, as we call it here in the crypto space, what we dream of. Or this could be the flippening, right? The situation, the moment where the axe drops, regulations come in heavy and say, hey, we're not going to allow this to happen. And they're going to regulate it in ways where where institutions are still going to be able to play with Bitcoin, make money off Bitcoin. Certified investors that have millions and millions of dollars will be able to buy and sell crypto and other Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. But the regular people might be cut off because the regular people might not be allowed to be on these centralized exchanges, or you would have to be completely whitelisting all your addresses and reporting absolutely everything that you're doing on these centralized exchanges, making it a lot more difficult, a lot more steps, a lot less privacy, a lot less decentralization, a lot more control over the bottleneck, which we don't want to see, guys. We do not want to see that at all. So, guys, it's a pretty chill night tonight. All I'm out here saying is I don't want to spread FUD. I don't want to spread fear, but I don't want to spread hopium either. We are at a 50-50. It can go either way. I'm hoping for the opportunity of shows that we're saving Ukraine by donating crypto, and at the same time, we're showing the use case of maybe a major country like Russia and others eventually adopting Bitcoin as their reserve currency, as a legal tender to be able to get around the situation that's happening in the control that there is in this world of centralized SWIFT system and, just the traditional financial system. With that being said, guys, continue to always question everything, trust nothing, and if no one's ever told you before, we freaking love you out here in Debate Crypto. And until next time, hodl like it's hot.